Welcome to Every Single Journey, a Family Life original podcast. I'm Becky, a single girl in my 30s who is passionately pursuing this life God has given me. Join us today as we navigate through the season of singleness. As a single person, we face a plethora of challenges and questions. On and off through the years, one of those questions that I have faced is, I'm still single. Is something wrong with me? Am I a failure? Joining us on today's episode are my good friends and coworkers here at Family Life, Emma and Tately. They are amazing friends, and they, like me, are also single.
Hello.
So, ladies, why do you think our relationship status or lack thereof can make us feel like something is wrong with us?
I have an idea. So growing up, I think the most often you are asked the question, what are you going to be when you grow up? And then eventually you get past that. Like you get a career, you've gone to school, so you're past that milestone. And then the next milestone is, are you seeing anyone? Mm-hmm. I think that that's the most basic thing that I have for that question.
It almost seems like a cop-out to be like, it's because of society.
Right.
But, like, it is because of society. Like, that's the main thing we're constantly seeing around us. We're seeing love stories everywhere. We're seeing couples everywhere. We're seeing things geared towards them, especially in the church community. And I think at our age now, we're constantly being asked, are you seeing anyone? What do you think about this guy? And there's just that pressure. And even if you're content in being single, I think it's really easy if you're constantly being asked that. Or even sometimes people come up to me and be like, well, how are you still single? And I'm like, well, how am I still single? What the heck? What's wrong with me?
Tately, I think you bring up a good point there, that the social pressure or the being in a Christian environment and just the pressure of that. And it's not because the other person sees something wrong in us or thinks that we're a failure in any sort of way. Because like you said, they say, how are you still single? Like that implies there's so much good and so much value that they see in you that they're wondering how you're not taken yet. And I think it comes from a really good place from their heart of they want us to also to be able to participate in the joy of marriage and having a partner. But I think because that is such a popular thing in a sense that we can oftentimes forget to look at the positives of being single, and we can turn that into, oh, well, what is wrong with me? And I know for me that's something that I've faced, like I've said on and off, and it's like, oh, well, now I'm doing all this introspection and I'm looking at it through that one question of what's wrong with me? Something must be wrong with me because I'm still single. And it can really spiral down pretty quickly. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, I'm still single because of all these negative things, and I forget to look at some of those positive things.
Yeah, I think even the question when people ask that shows they think, how do I want to say it? They think where you're supposed to be is in a relationship. And so even when they mean so well when they're saying, how are you still single? That's still showing that they think you shouldn't be, that the ideal is marriage, that the goal is marriage. And somehow, if you haven't reached that, you're at deficit. Like, I'm so happy in my relationship and I want that for you. And that's such a kind, sweet place to come from. But inevitably, they're assuming that you will be married someday and you should be married. And I think that's what we kind of tend to do is, I'm not going to be complete until that happens, or that's my end goal, when that's just simply not true. It's not, it's not promised. It's not, and we're not at a deficit now. And so I think if we can just somehow reprogram how we think about it, it helps. But I don't even know if I perfectly know how to do that because it is so ingrained in us. Yep. But I think that's the thing is people are just assuming that singleness is like a pathway from A to B, not a place in itself.
Yes. Yeah. And how do you talk about that, like, A&a-half?
Yeah.
That you're living in?
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think that even it is a cop-out to say, like, well, society does this because we're surrounded by society and we're surrounded by media that is like, even the obsession of celebrities. Like, what are you paying the most attention to? Probably their relationship status. Like, are Travis and Taylor still going to be together? Like, all of that. So, I was going somewhere with it. Yeah. I think that society has kind of created that relationship status is an identity. It's taking something and twisting it, making an idol out of it, just like possessions, just like other fascinations in our life, that you can idolize anything, and relationships definitely have become that.
And that's an excellent point, Emma. And when the relationship status or my relationship status becomes my identity, I've had to learn to take a step back and really observe and be like, okay, why am I so discouraged right now because I'm not in a relationship? Why am I so down, or I feel like a failure because as a girl in my 30s, like, I'm an adult, I should have at least have a boyfriend by now. And I've never been in a relationship. And it's like when I feel that pressure and it starts to like discourage me and drive everything I'm doing in my perspective, it's like, wait, that has become an idol. And that is sin. It's not healthy for me. And so I've had to like take a step back and realize, okay, what triggered this feeling to the point where I have given it so much of my attention, of my love, I've allowed it to become why I'm doing what I'm doing, and let it take the place of God in my life, and surrounding myself with friends that are encouraging has been extremely helpful. Digging into God's word and seeing, what does God say about me? Who does God say I am? There is a ton of people in the Bible that are single and had lived fruitful, amazing lives because they didn't let that become their idol. They let God take the natural place of where he's supposed to be. I feel like it's a challenge that will always be present while we're single, because that's just part of living in a broken world. And finding ways to encourage and to make each other, encourage myself, and to make sure that I'm not letting it slip into becoming an idol, because I feel like it's an up and down battle. It's like, oh, right now I'm on the mountaintop. God is first. I'm doing great. This is awesome. And then all of a sudden I find myself having slid into a valley and not really sure how I got there, but slowly things crept in, and singleness and my lack thereof relationship got in the way. And it's so interesting how quickly that can happen. I don't know if you ladies have a similar experience, or if there's anything that like sticks out to you of like, oh, if I watch too many rom-coms, that's a trigger for me, or like if there's anything like that you ladies have recognized in your journey of singleness.
For sure. I think that when I was already talking about media, that's a big thing when you're watching movies or where relationships are portrayed as a problem fixer, you know, like someone is like down in the dumps and it's fixed when they get in a relationship. When that's not real, you have problems. You're not going to fix them by pulling someone into that. You're bringing that with you, and you're going to drag both of you down. And I feel like that's not accurately portrayed. Sometimes it is, but there are definitely lighthearted films and media that sell that lie, that a relationship can fix your problems.
Yeah, and I mean, relationships aren't a bad thing, so obviously there's something desirable there. I think about how all of us just watched Pride and Prejudice, and us three single ladies watching this love story. It's like, oh, wow, that'd be nice if some guy walked through the rain for me or something. Like, we all have those moments, so I think it is, and I'm not saying it's bad to watch those movies. I think you just have to be constantly checking yourself, because I know I'm the same way. As one day I am so content, and the next day I'm like, wow, I'm so lonely. I'm unlovable, obviously. And just these lies start happening because, I mean, Satan's always going to attack you where you're at. It's one of the easiest ways to get us, I think, with where we are in life. And so I think, like, at anything, you just have to constantly be resetting your mindset. And that's true with any struggle in life.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware that it is a struggle. And I think it's okay to admit it is, because I think sometimes we think as single people, oh, I can't admit I'm struggling. That's embarrassing. I'm going to seem needy. I'm going to seem desperate. And it's okay to say it's hard. It's not easy.
I don't know why, but it always seems to surprise me when the lies that Satan throws my way seem to be the same ones over and over that I fall for again. It's like, okay, something is wrong with me because I'm not the most physically fit, attractive person in the world, or something is wrong with me because I have all the wrong hobbies and all the wrong interests that somebody else, that a guy wouldn't be interested in. And like, even just saying them out loud, they sound kind of silly. But when I keep them to myself and I get fixated on them, they seem so real and so realistic. And it's just like, oh, just saying it out loud helps me to realize that there is an element of silliness to it. And that, in a way, can help me to start to recognize and to check myself. I know for me, there are other ways that I find to encourage myself. I remind myself that God made me for good works. God created me. He knit me together in my mother's womb. And like, just the truth that is in Scripture that can overshadow those lies have just been very encouraging to me. Is there an encouraging trick that you ladies go to, or something that our listeners can maybe find to be encouraging for themselves when they fall into the same, oh, I'm single and it's just really hard right now. I need some encouragement?
I really liked the verses that you sent us for prompts to kind of start working our brains in the direction of being created in the image and being created for good works. Going back and saying, like, as Christians, I've always been told growing up that part of my calling is to eventually be a wife and to eventually repopulate the earth. Like, that's very analytical, but that's what I was always taught. So I think a big encouragement to me has been learning that it's just a part. That's just a part of your calling. And it is a part of a lot of people's callings and an important part. But there's really big other parts.
That's a big question. And I'll be honest, I don't have some perfect answer because I'm not on the other side of it with like, this is how I perfectly got through it. I still struggle. I'm still figuring it out. But I think, again, comparing it to any other struggle, the same kind of things work. I think when you can just acknowledge this is a lie. And I've been loving Alice and Ide's song, You're a Liar. And I've literally just been singing that. Like, you're a liar. Like, just voicing it and being like, shut up. Like, these are lies. And I think there is a power in just being able to, like, say it and just being like, this is a lie. Get out. And I think also just, I think when you have friends that are in the same boat, it helps, because I'll be so often so much kinder to my friends than myself. And so I think if I can picture, like, you know, what if Emma or Becky came to me and said, I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like I'm lacking something. I feel like I must not be good enough. And just how sad that would make me for you. Like, I'm getting emotional right now because, like, I love you guys. That's not true. And just the, like, the love I would pour out and being able to do that, and then sometimes pausing and saying, well, if that's true for these wonderful single ladies, it's true for me. But we have such a harder time being kind to ourselves sometimes. So I think being able to just kind of reimagine it as the thing I'm struggling with right now. What if one of these girls were coming to me and struggling with it? How would I talk to them?
Yeah.
That's true for me too. And being able to kind of turn that around. And also just being able to, everything has a pro and con. And we love to look at the bad side of things. And I love challenging myself to, no matter what's happening, be like, where is the silver lining? And I think that's important too in singleness, of what are the pros? What are the benefits? And there are some. And that's important to know. Like, someone asks, do you want to go on a mission trip this weekend? I don't have to say, well, let me find a babysitter and let me ask my husband. And I can just say yes.
Yeah.
So
I like how you were talking about how it's easier to give others advice outside of yourself, because I had that situation just recently with a friend of mine that was single and struggling. And that was just at the forefront of their mind, that it was obviously blocking everything else in their life. Like, they were so sad. They were so overwhelmed with that because they were hyperfixated at that moment. And I have times like that. At that point, I was really sober-minded. So it led to just good conversation of when you're kind of trapped in that, and that's the only thing that you can see. Something that's helped me is kind of taking a step back and thinking, okay, well, if that's what I'm thinking about, like my future partner, I'm thinking about how much I want companionship, but that's not all that it is. It's not just companionship. You're seeking betterment. You're trying to seek someone that's going to make you strive for more. So right now in the state that I'm in, I want to be striving for more because if I put myself, okay, I'm a future partner that I want someone to seek out. So then I'm not going to be stagnant right now, because that's the other 90% of our calling is to not be stagnant, but to be growing in our knowledge of the Lord. And I think just actively pursuing those attractive qualities for yourself can really help me, because it's almost like flipping it on its head of something like, okay, if I'm really fixated on this, how can I make that positive and not make it the goal, but make other aspects of, okay, I'm going to I really want someone who's really active in their spiritual life. So I'm going to be really active in my spiritual life. I'm going to try to really grasp for prayer in the morning. I'm going to set aside time. I really want someone that's super involved in their church. I'm going to get super involved in my church. Like, I don't know. That has helped me. Like, it's just flipping it on its head. And then that can make you fulfill the other part of your calling without even realizing. I don't know. That's something that's helped me and advice that I have given.
Those are both wonderful tricks, as we might call them, or just pieces of advice to consider implementing into all of our lives. I love the thought and the idea of finding the silver lining and realizing that it's not all struggle and darkness surrounding me. There are positive things that I can be doing in the season of singleness to become a better person myself, to pursue Jesus more, and to allow him to minister to me more, and to be a better friend, whether that is a friend to the three of us or if that is a friend to a potential future partner. It just makes life so much more fulfilling. Before I wrap it up, is there anything we didn't touch on that you ladies want to bring up?
I mean, there's so much to talk about with singleness, but I think it's one of those things where, is there something wrong with me? No. Next. I think that's where it ends. It's just, there's nothing wrong with you. You are complete, and just focus on Christ, because that's the only way you're ever going to feel fulfilled, no matter your relationship status.
And it's such a Sunday school answer, but it's so
because it's true.
Yeah.
Yep, it is so true. And finding our completeness and our fullness in Christ first and Christ only will make us much healthier in our singleness, and if he allows, much healthier in a future marriage. Thanks for listening to episode 1 of Every Single Journey. If you've liked what you heard, click the subscribe button to be notified when future episodes are available. You can also share this podcast on your social media pages so others can be encouraged too. If you're looking for more faith-based content like this, be sure to check out Family Life's other original podcasts, including If That Makes Sense, Therese Talk, 10 Minutes With, and the Parable Podcast. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Your financial gifts make podcasts like this possible as we seek to share the hope we have in Jesus. You can find out more on our website at familylife.org.